Hello, everyone, and welcome to Geeky Geezers. I'm your host, Aged Boomer. This is my co-host, PaPa Pacelli.
Hello, hello.
What you sipping on?
I am sipping on a Diet Dr. Shasta, which is an off brand Dr. Pepper.
Dr. Shasta.
Yes.
Is it better than Mr. Pibb?
No, actually. Mr. Pibb, Dr. Pibb, whatever is actually better. Yeah.
Wow, okay. You know what I find with off-brand sodas? You're
Mm.
usually okay if you go for a root beer or a grape.
Yeah, you're right. You're
Yeah.
right. I don't know why I thought this would be pretty good, and I was like, ugh. And then I had to rush out on Friday after work. I was literally just going to the store to get a lemon, because I needed a a lemon slice for my martini, and I said, to Netter, do you want anything? She says, yes, I would like some Diet Dr. Pepper, real Diet Dr. Pepper. And they had because yeah, okay, so the Dr. Shasta, we had bought like a whole bunch of them because
Right.
they were super cheap.
Yep.
And when you buy a whole bunch of something and then realize you don't like it, it's like,
That's why
you know.
alcohol is. That's what alcohol is for. You mix it with.
Well, you make a good point there. Yes, absolutely. But so I picked up, and then when I'm at the store, they had the 2 liters bottles of Diet Dr. Pepper on sale if you bought 4 bottles. So I'm like, you know what? I know we both like real Diet Dr. Pepper. I'm going to go ahead and get them. And then tasting it, I'm like, oh, it's like the difference of night and day. I can tell that this Dr. Shasta has that not exactly cola flavor, more like Dr. Pepper flavor, but it's not Dr. Pepper. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I know, first world problems, right? Okay.
It's weird. I remembered one time. I think it was a Pepsi buy two get one free, and
Uh-huh.
I tried to do a variety, and they didn't have ginger ale because the ginger ale was sold out, and they had something called Vernon's Ginger Soda, and I
Huh.
got it. I didn't like it.
Hmm.
Didn't like it. Ended up giving it to one of my college friends. Here, you have it. Take the 12 pack. I take
Well, I'll
the
tell you,
11 remaining cans. It's
when it comes to ginger sodas, I mean, even if it's real ginger ale, the different brands taste very different.
yes.
And then you have the possibility of a ginger beer or some other ginger
Does it
flavored
taste like
soda.
any of that?
Yeah, it's all going to be different. It's hit and miss. Sometimes you run into something and you go, "Hey, I really like that." Not what I expected, but
Let's see. I think Seagram's is the worst ginger ale, personally. The Coke version of ginger ale, don't like it.
hmm, okay.
Canada Dry is good. Schweppes is good too. But yeah, I don't like that.
I can't drink Canada Dry. I can't. My mother gave it to me when I was sick,
Oh
and I
no.
just associated it with getting sick. So I just cannot drink Canada Dry ginger ale ever, ever, ever again.
Well, it's like the last time I had beef stroganoff, I got violently ill later that night, and I don't look at beef stroganoff the same
Yeah,
after that. And it wasn't the beef stroganoff's fault; it was
right.
just stomach virus. But I associate it now with that. It's just
I had a similar problem when I was a kid with White Castle sliders. I had some White Castle sliders, and
yeah.
then I got really, really sick, and I couldn't eat sliders for years.
Really?
Yeah.
Apparently, White Castle would have that effect on people. I'm a New Jersey guy originally, though, so White Castle, that was like that was like part of the state religion up there. You gotta watch.
Yeah, and
It's
in
like,
fact, I had family that moved out west,
yeah,
and they'd ask us to ship them, sliders just because they couldn't get them.
can't
Now,
get them.
I think you can now see
They
they're
have them in
carried in the
the
grocery
frozen
stores.
section. Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, if you follow the directions on those reheating, they're perfectly good. I can vouch for that.
White Castle predates McDonald's. They were actually
Mm-hmm.
I watched the thing on them. Back in the old days, I think it was Upton Sinclair's The Jungle came out, and people
Yep.
were afraid of the meat they were buying and ground beef. Forget
Yep.
about it. They were not going near the stuff. White Castle, the whole idea behind White Castle is it's this white, very clean looking restaurant. The
Everyone
guy,
wore white. They wore the
yes,
hats and everything.
they cooked in front of the grill right in front of you,
Yep,
so
you
you
could
could see
watch
them
them
doing
cook
it.
everything. Yeah,
And the
exactly.
idea behind that is that they were trying to get people past the idea that this ground hamburger was poisonous or whatever,
Right.
And then eventually they even got doctors to recommend people buy them by the sack, which I don't know if doctors would recommend that now, but
Well, it's another one of those things, right, where you've had years of people trying to tell you that meat is bad for you, that saturated fat is bad for you, then come to find out, oh, wait a minute, maybe it's not so bad for you. Maybe it's the carbohydrates that aren't so good for you. When, anyone with any real sense is like, look, if it's the kind of food that you can get from nature yourself, it's probably just fine. It's all the preservatives and chemicals they put into processed foods that's a problem, I'll tell you something else about fresh meat. My uncle and my father both knew people that, they had farms, they raised cows, and come slaughter time, they'd put in their order for like a side of beef or whatever, and man, there is no comparison. The meat that was literally mooing the day before, oh, it's different from anything you've ever gotten in a grocery store. I swear to you, you would
it's probably
not
fresh. It's
believe
better,
it.
yeah.
It is so good, and get outside of just the cow, right? You get buffalo meat, you get a deer meat. These are really, really good meats, and you're like, wow, this is so different. And I'm not talking. This is before you even add any kind of spice to it, right? It's just a different flavor of meat. I'm salivating just talking about this stuff.
You're making me hungry.
Right?
Let's say hi to the chat.
Yeah, let's say hi to the chat. Netter's first.
She is first, by the way, first, yes. And by the way, first, yes.
Yes.
I'm in the chat too.
You're okay.
Welcome.
Hey, David.
Horizon
Talker.
Welcome. Hello, the chat. And he's saying,
I see we're talking Elephant Mario today. Good times, good times. Nintendo had a big news week. Yeah,
not bad, not bad. We'll talk about that later. We're going to get to that.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
Rosefire.
Talker. Unless someone get Tom Cruise back brace, he's going to need it after carrying Hollywood like this.
Gosh, right?
I'm sorry. I've not had the desire to see any movies this summer except maybe Fast 10. And even that has a couple actors I'm not really big fans of in it, but at least it might have been entertaining. But even that, I just didn't drag myself out to the theater. I'll watch it when it comes
Horizon Talker, let me put a different slant on this. Tom Cruise doesn't even have to work that hard because the bar is so damn low. All he's got to do is put out a decent film and not piss anyone off, and he's gonna have a blockbuster on his hands. And the fact that that's what he's basically doing makes him that much more a star in the eyes of audiences. Then he goes out and he says something about, all I'm looking to do is entertain people. I just want to put out something that people like. And people love him for saying it. They're like, thank you. Somebody's friggin' listening to us.
Looks like a good show tonight. Don't jinx us, please.
Yeah, right. I told him. I hope so.
Howdy. Welcome, Rosefire.
Yeah.
Welcome to Geeky Geezers, where the points don't matter. That's right. The points are like a surfing competition in the Sahara. What?
Oh, gosh. I love Whose Line Is It Anyway? I don't care if it's the original version, the Drew Carey version, whatever. Hey, Big
Al's in the chat. Yeah, I got to get back to you. I don't know if you're free this Friday, but I'll give you a holler over me. We have to get back. I've been meaning to get back with Al. We did the first 2 episodes of Robin of Sherwood, and I was like, yeah, maybe we could do these like once a month or something. And then the hurricane happened. It's like, but I've been meaning to get back with him on that. Again, it's short notice, so you might not be able to do it. Daniel Heron, welcome to the chat. It's great to see you. Thank you for being here.
Everybody in the chat's been praying for you, buddy. I hope you're feeling better really soon.
Hope you're feeling okay. I know you got a big day tomorrow, but you're in your thoughts and prayers. Thank you for showing up here too, definitely. But But yeah, definitely check out Daniel's channel. He's got some good stuff on there, including a pretty cool co-host sometimes. Thinking of Eric Woods. Oh wait, me too. No, anyway,
Rosefighter says, I remember all the cake mixes from the 1990s telling me to swap in applesauce instead of oil. Fat was the 4-letter word, and the generation of that generation, yet we guzzled down tons of bad sugary stuff. Yeah, well, keep in mind, too, that that's also the generation that created margarine, because, that was supposed to somehow be better than butter, because it didn't have all that saturated fat in it. Turns out it had something completely different in it called trans fat, which was even worse than any other kind of fat, because your body can't metabolize it.
William Shatner did margarine commercials, remember?
Oh, yeah? And again, it's another one of those things people didn't know, right? But now you talk to the dietitians and whatnot, and they're like, you know what? If you're going to eat something, it's not even worth eating at all unless you're going to enjoy it. So if swapping out one ingredient for another doesn't make it really yummy to you, don't bother. Just eat what you like. And if it's fat, take the fat. Fat is satiating. Maybe eat a little bit of fat so you don't eat a whole bunch of carbohydrates later.
Gotcha. Yeah. Because carbohydrates can be too much sometimes.
Well, they don't fill you up. It's that people used to. It used to be a joke, but it was based on reality. Oh, you eat Chinese food and you're hungry 3 hours later. Yes, you do, because it's all carbohydrates. It's mostly rice, and your body burns through that like that, and it's gone. And now you want to eat more, and you end up eating these really, really carb dense, these calorie dense foods. When if you think about when you have a cheeseburger, right? You just have a cheeseburger and you're like, I can't eat anymore. And you might not eat for hours again. And you're like, oh, maybe I'll have something light. There's a reason your body reacts like that,
Or a pot roast.
Or a pot roast. Yeah, proteins and fats are very filling. Carbohydrates, not. And yet carbohydrates have tons of calories, So you learn to economize what you're eating, and, carbohydrates are fine if you're planning on going out and running a marathon. But how many of you are doing that? If you're sitting in your house all day, you know what? Have yourself a little bacon with your eggs in the morning, and you probably won't even want to eat again until dinner.
You know what's interesting? Ian Fleming, his favorite food was scrambled eggs. Did you know that?
How did he take them, though? There's a lot of ways prepare scrambled egg. Oh, okay. I can see that.
No milk, probably.
Well, good, because that's the only right way to do it.
Gotcha.
You know why they started adding milk to eggs? It was a Depression era thing to make the eggs go farther.
Oh, that's interesting.
It does zero. In fact, it actually waters them down, makes them not really as good.
Huh.
Yeah.
That makes sense, though, because my parents were silent generation, so they
I'll give you a hint, though. If you really feel like you got to do that, use a heavy cream instead of milk.
Welcome, Auditor Dread.
Yeah.
All right. So, no real good old days tonight.
I think we kind of covered the good old days between, between foods and, movies. And, yeah, I think we've already covered that,
Bond makes eggs several times in the novels. His secret is lots of butter. Yeah, I've been reading the Bond novels as of late. I just finished Casino Royale, and I'm now on Live and Let Die. Because I was originally gearing up when Birdman's film, but we're going to do a Casino Royale rewatch. But I figured, let me reread the novel before we do the rewatch. And I'm curious as to how much there's different. I just noticed that in the second book, he's wanting revenge against the organization behind the stuff that happened in Casino Royale, but he's not bringing up Vesper a whole lot. He doesn't mention Vesper at all in the second novel. I think at the end of the first novel, it's like, Vesper, she was a traitor to her country. Done. Yeah. That's how he saw her. She's a traitor.
Yeah.
Traitor to England. And maybe some amount of maybe a touch of sympathy, but not really. It just he's not happy about that.
But you know what? The thing about butter, that's true too. Butter really does make the eggs. If you cook it in butter, so much the better. Just be careful. You don't want to scorch the butter, so you're going to want to do it on a kind of a medium heat. But yeah. Anyway, we're just talking food tonight, I guess.
I read in Fleming's biography, it was a response to the heavy rationing in Britain during and after World War II. That's interesting, yes. I was watching, I think it was a movie called The Last Viceroy that had Gillian Anderson in it, and they were being sent. These were I don't want to say. I don't know if they were English gentry or maybe even royalty that were sent over to India to kind of supervise, I guess, the partitioning off of Pakistan. I think that's what was going on. And they bring a plate of cooked chicken to them, and they're like, wow, chicken, because they hadn't had chicken, because even the higher ups in England at the time were still having to ration. Do you understand? Even the people that were higher station had to ration back then. Yeah, but.
Well, and the interesting thing, and my mother-in-law talked with me about this one time, the fact that, we had rationing here in the States, they had it in the UK, but remember, England is an island, so they only have so many resources, right? And they do have to import a lot. Anything that needed to be imported, they were just out of luck, And if you have a war effort and you're trying to send food out to the troops, there's not a lot left at home, which, of course, we struggled with too, but they had even less because they had so many less resources. Never thought about that before, but it's really, really true.
My dad was a little kid during World War II, and he told me stories. He remembered the movie theaters used to have, we'll do a cartoon marathon, but bring over all of your cans, and you'll get a free ticket to see the cartoon marathon at the local theater.
Yeah.
And he brought him in his little red wagon, and the guy took his little red wagon because it was metal, right? And he's like, I want my wagon back. And he cried. Finally, the guy gave it back to him. But, he used the wagon to transport all the tin cans and stuff. But they were going to take his wagon, too. It was
yeah, I kind of understand that. That's why, we all talk about the value of comics, right? And how, Action Comics #1 and all these comics go for so much money. And then you got the speculators buying, all 250 different covers of the new whatever magazine. And it's like, you don't understand. That's not going to happen again. The reason that Action Comics #1 is so valuable is because they were all printed on pulp paper, including the cover, right? And then when you were done reading it, you threw it into the bin with the newspapers to give for the war effort.
Yeah.
That's where they all went to. That's why those magazines are now so rare today, and that's where the value comes in.
I'm wondering, did they send the comics to the troops overseas to read, maybe?
Sometimes they did, but those were usually sent by their families, putting care packages together. But I'll tell you something else. It wasn't very far into the war where literally you were reading in the comic book itself. The characters were, saying, now that you've enjoyed this magazine, you can be a hero too by, giving to the war effort, recycle and blah, 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 and this and that. So the kids were all on board for the most part with all of that. And
this is why when I was on Matchstick's channel, my visioning for the DC universe was to do two timelines, a modern timeline and a World War II timeline. And eventually I didn't get into how they would converge at some point. They would. But I kind of feel like we've never really gotten adaptations of those World War II DC stories.
It's really a shame. And there was, obviously the original way they did it was the Earth 1, Earth 2 thing, right? Mm-hmm. Where you had all the heroes set in World War II, and then you had all the heroes set in the modern day in an alternate universe, and they had crossovers and da-da-da, which all went away after Crisis on Infinite Earths. Then they decided, okay, we are combining these worlds, so you can't have Superman in World War II and modern day.
Right.
So they started looking for ways they could, swap out, Superman for another character. And what they ended up doing was they ended up going with some of their acquisitions from other comic book lines, like Uncle Sam. Uncle Sam became a character that kind of took the Superman place in, the All-Star Squadron, which was combined with the Justice Society. And
right.
Instead of having Batman, you had what was it? Not Black Cat. What was it? Wildcat.
Wildcat, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, no. They had Wildcat on Batman the Brave and the Bold, and his whole thing was, the old man that always tells the same story 100 times. I think that was his thing, It was just...
Right, which was kind of how he was in the comics, but there was no doubt that he knew his stuff. He was an adventurer, he was a masked vigilante, and he was an incredible fighter. He supposedly was one of the people that trained Bruce Wayne. He trained Selena Kyle at one time, so, and there was this idea of, okay, we're just going to have it passed down. And in fact, it even comes up in Smallville, where you have some of the Justice Society that's still around, and Clark is like, oh, I remember the legends of you guys. And, there was this clear implication, well, you're going to be the next generation, and
in fact, I think the episode ended with him becoming a mentor to the outsiders, which were the young kids, that were the young, which I thought was a neat way to end it, because I guess he was a mentor to Batman as well, right?
Exactly.
So
exactly. But but speaking of modern day heroes, especially those on the screen. This week we had hashtag R.I.P.
Yes.
Jeremy Renner. How sad, until you realize it was all just a bunch of bullshit.
I hope I didn't bait too much with that headline. I did put 3 question marks next to it, so hopefully people don't.
Well, I did the same thing. I was like, how can I do this? And I was like, 1971 to question mark? No, that gives it away too easily.
Yeah, that might have been where I got
1971 to 2003 question mark? Okay, we'll do it that way.
All right, so let me read from this article. In remembrance not. Jeremy Renner no more. Rest in peace, Jeremy Renner. Trends as death hoax of Marvel actor killed in accident goes viral. A recent rumor claimed that Marvel actor Jeremy Renner had passed away. Fans of the actor were extremely worried after the news surfaced. Even though celebrities are not unfamiliar with death hoaxes, this one really pushed the fans over the edge with worry. Renner got into an accident with a snowplow at the start of the year, but he is okay now. But is he okay now? Here's what we know. Is Jeremy Renner okay? A story that suggested Jeremy Renner had passed away went viral recently. Fans of the star seem to have believed the news that surfaced online. Hashtag rest in peace Jeremy Renner started trending on Twitter within moments. This trend caught traction after a news piece claiming that Jeremy passed away in an escalator accident went viral. Jeremy Renner had gotten into a snowplow accident on January 1st, but started his journey to recovery soon after. As far as we know, the actor is fit and hasn't faced any health scares after. The actor also took his story to post a snap of a bear with the American flag in its mouth 2 hours ago. The actor captioned the snap 4th of July prep Tahoe style. Oh, funny. He posted a video of himself showing how he learned to walk again after his accident. In the video posted on May 6th, Renner can be seen using a walker to aid his walks. As the video goes on, Jeremy is seen walking more confidently, and without the help of his walker, he shared his beautiful journey of progress with his fans with the caption, "My PT made this for reference and to remember you cannot walk unless you take one step at a time."
I mean, come on, the guy is like a real life hero, right? What I don't think the article points out that I think a lot of us were talking about at the time it happened. He was actually trying to help somebody out at the time that he got hit by that plow.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this guy really is the kind of person that tries to help people. He doesn't have superpowers, but he does what he can. And
he's a good guy.
Talk about, real life hero. And I don't know why people do this kind of stuff. I should say I don't understand how it gets started. I understand that there's just really, really lazy, stupid people on the internet that just believe whatever they read, share without paying attention, without looking, without double checking, without verifying. But this is the stupid kind of stuff that kids do. I remember when I was in high school, there was a girl in my theater group who was just crazy over the moon for and would not stop talking about Eddie Van Halen. And I knew who Eddie Van Halen was, but I wasn't a huge fan. But she was just gaga over this guy.
Right.
And then one day I came in and I'm like, I heard, I'm really sorry about Eddie Van Halen. She's like, what? What did you hear? I said, oh, you didn't hear he was in a plane crash over the weekend on his way. He's on tour and he didn't make it. She's like, no. And the worst part was, I mean, it's bad enough that I did this, right? It was just meant to be I'm just playing, just joking, right? But the reason that it picked up and went on was because everyone around me was full in on what was happening. And they were like, yeah, I saw it too. And I'm like, wait, what? And they're like, yeah. Keep going. I'm like, oh, God. And so this is how this kind of stuff happens. But it's very different in this modern age of the internet where, even after a bunch of people start saying this isn't true, just check Snopes, just check whatever. Nope. Because all that's going to happen is someone's going to take that original post and repost it, and 90% of the people that see it are just going to see that and not bother to look it up and keep forwarding it. And I'll bet you 3 years from now, that post is still going to get shared out. Yeah. Like it just happened or something.
Jordan Peter says, tell the truth, at the very least, don't lie. If you can't always do the first, then at the minimum, you should do the second.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. One of the articles that I saw as I was looking into this, I didn't want to get too far down this rabbit hole, but Morgan Freeman actually commented on this because it's happened to him like a dozen times. He says, there's been more reports of my death, I think, than I've had birthdays. Oh,
that's interesting. Now, he's still kicking. He's still with us.
They all are. Yeah. It's like, look, it's tragic, especially when it's, something completely unexpected, right. Like
Treat Williams last week.
Like I was going to say, Treat Williams, there was, he seemed to be in perfectly good health, and it was literally a traffic accident. Yeah. But Jeremy Renner, yeah, we knew he'd had an injury. We knew he'd been touch and go for a while. Sure, it's plausible. You could say, you know what? He was on his road to recovery, but a blood clot or, heart attack, whatever. Okay, it's plausible. But it was very easy to go online and double check. By the time I saw the hoax, all the articles were up on a simple Google search about it being a hoax, Although, admittedly, even the debunking articles did basically what we did and did the Jeremy Renner no more ?
Yeah, but of course.
At least though, when we do that, we go, Jeremy Renner no more? The answer is, yeah, he's fine. Yeah, don't worry about it. It's all a hoax.
Yes. Well, that's why we're here, to clarify things for y'all. All right. Jeremy Renner was also in the Mission Impossible movies. Did you know that? He's been in a few of them.
Yeah, I have not kept up with them.
I know. What was the last one you saw? Was it the first one?
I saw the first one, and that was it. I liked it fine. Mm-hmm. It just... I was never into the original Mission Impossible, and I just didn't get into it. It just didn't grab me.
They're different. The series, I think, hits its stride with Ghost Protocol, the fourth one, but I do like to. I know Birdman does not, so we'll never watch that in this channel. I like Mission Impossible. It's basically a 90s John Woo Hollywood movie. Like, did you like Face Off with Nick Cage and John?
I honestly didn't see it.
Okay, well,
although
like
the clips that I saw of it, I was incredibly impressed with both Nick Cage and what's his name? Vinny Barbarino. What's his name? The other actor from Face Off. John Travolta. Yes. Thank you. Both of them did a great job of playing each other. I thought that was brilliant.
We got some more people in the chat. Let us are us. Welcome. I think there's some more people in here too. Joshua V, welcome.
Let I saw us. I'm no hoax. I'm here. Good. We're glad that you are.
And I think I Suck at Games channel is here. And also, I forgot to mention earlier, Matt and Nui, welcome.
There you go. Okay. It's funny that you should say that, Joshua V, because that's exactly what we were just about to start talking about. That Mission Impossible 7. First reaction are in. Tom Cruise conquers critics with the impeccably made, exhilarating action film.
You know what's interesting about the Mission Impossible title? You have Mission Impossible 2, Mission Impossible 3, then it's Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. Why is it after 3 do they stop dropping the numbers in Hollywood? What happened? Was it Star Trek that started this trend where they decided after 6 we got to stop with the numbers, and then everybody else followed suit?
I don't know exactly what franchise it started with, but I certainly understand the mentality. There is a marketing element to it that I will argue actually makes sense. And it goes back to, like the 80s and 90s when we were first starting to see all the sequels, 2, 3, 4, and then all the parody films would make jokes. Look at Back to the Future 3 with Jaws 13 or whatever it was, right?
Right. Okay. That's
and it's like after a certain point, it's like it becomes kind of ridiculous. Although there is value to that numbering system, so if you want to watch them in order, you know what order to watch them in. But I think they're more saying, don't think of this so much as a sequel. Don't think of it as the 4th, the 5th, the whatever number in the series. Just think of it as the way like James Bond was meant to be. You don't call it James Bond 2, James Bond 3, James Bond 4. They all are just different film titles, right? It's a serialized concept. That's like we argued, that's what Indiana Jones was meant to have been. Should have been Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom, Last Crusade, done, or just keep going with other adventure names. You don't keep numbering them. Then, if you miss the 3rd and 4th film, doesn't matter. Because you don't even have to watch them in order. They're just serialized stories.
Not necessarily, no. But it's interesting that, especially with these last 3, they were following a sort of a continuity. You didn't have to have seen the prior one, but like at the end of Ghost Protocol, he gets a message saying, "Oh, we're now tracking an organization known as the Syndicate," and you're thinking, "Okay, this is just some throwaway thing at the end of the movie." Oh no, at the beginning of the next movie, he's on the trail of the Syndicate, and they're the major bad guys in the next movie.
Sure, but is that significantly different than the Old Republic serials, right? Where you'd always have a little cliffhanger, but then when you came in the next week, if you didn't see that cliffhanger, didn't matter. You were just fine to jump in and be okay. Same thing would be true with this. If you didn't see the stinger at the end of the last movie, it doesn't matter because you're coming in at the beginning of a story anyway.
Well, it wasn't even a stinger. It was just like, oh, here's Ethan going on another adventure, and of course the job never ends. And it's like, oh no, literally, these are the major bad guys for the next 2 movies, or the Syndicate.
Sure. Now, what I also like is because you have that kind of concept, right? Then if you have like a trilogy within, then you could do what they're doing with this movie, and you call it Dead Reckoning Part 1. This isn't the first Mission Impossible film, but it's the first of maybe a 2-part
story. This is going to be a 2-parter.
Yeah.
So I'll go ahead and read from the article. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. Okay, so here we go. Mission Impossible's first reaction. Mission Impossible 7, first reaction. Tom Cruise conquers critics with impeccably made, exhilarating action film. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 was finally unveiled at a starry world premiere in Rome on Monday evening, drawing a packed gala screening in the Auditorium della Conciliazione. Conciliazione. Does that sound right? You're Italian descent. Am I saying that right?
I don't have the article open, so I can't tell you.
I'm assuming anyway. A stone's throw.
I'll open it while you continue reading.
A gala screening was delayed by more than 90 minutes as Tom Cruise was holding an apparent impromptu meeting with Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni at the Palazzo Chigi seat at the Italian government. The crowd in the auditorium grew increasingly annoyed with having to watch interviews on the red carpet held earlier on the Spanish Steps in what started seeming like an endless loop at the venue screen, equipped with a Dolby Atmos sound system for the special occasion. However, there was a warm applause when Cruise, director Christopher McQuarrie, and a large contingent of the film's ensemble, including Haley Atwell, Rebecca Ferguson, Simon Pegg, Vanessa Kirby, Pom Clementif, Esai Morales, Shea Wiggum, and Greg Tarzan Davis finally arrived. And as soon as Rome appeared on screen, the audience started breaking into cheers and shouting out, "Bravo, Tom!" which happened quite frequently through the screening. The event was held in tandem with the Rome Film Festival's independently running Alice in the City section, dedicated to films for youth audiences. The film's local distribution is Eagle Pictures, which has a local distribution partnership with Paramount. A substantial amount of the hotly anticipated action film was shot in the Italian capital. Dead Reckoning Part 1 follows the events of Fallout, where Tom Cruise is Ethan Hunt and his crew of secret agents save the world from a nuclear apocalypse and a series of double crosses. The 2018 release was the highest grossing entry in the franchise yet, earning nearly $800 million at the global box office. The new film stars Cruise once again alongside returning franchise players Ving Rhames, Simon Pegg, Rebecca Ferguson, Henry Searsney, and Vanessa Kirby. Series newcomers include Haley Atwell, Pom Clementif, Carrie Elways, Rob Delaney, Indira Varma, Shea Wiggum, Mark Gaddis, Esai Morales, and Charles Parnell.
And just to fill you in, you were right on your pronunciation. Conciliazione, which in this context, auditorium of the place where a peace treaty would be signed.
Cool. Oh,
but obviously that's a bit wordy. You know, it's a bit more compact in the Italian.
No, I find Italy fascinating, and Italian movies especially. So it's cool that this movie's getting the respect it deserves. And I'm trying to get better with my Italian pronunciations of things, just because I hold Italy in high esteem.
Make sure that you are be sure to subscribe to the Metatron.
Okay.
Oh, and not only is he great on not just Italian but language pronunciation in general, but he's also spot on history.
Okay.
So, yeah, check him out.
I'll check him out. You should send me the link over MeWe.
I will. Yeah.
As expected, the film drew strong notices of its premiere for its impressive stunts. One of the most prominent death-defying stunts acts pushed in the marketing features Cruise actually riding a motorcycle off the edge of a cliff.
Yep.
Simon Pegg, who returns for...
Did you see the promo piece that he did on that?
I don't think I have. I saw
what happened was he did just something that a bit of video that was meant to be shared on social media, where he was talking to the audience and saying, you know, how much he super appreciated everyone coming out to support his films and whatnot. I'm in the middle of filming right now. I'll catch you later. And then he does the stunt where he jumps off the cliff, and I guess he literally just goes from talking to you to doing the stunt and jumping off. And I can't remember if it was a scene where he had to use a parachute or something. I don't remember the scene too well. I was more focused on what he was saying because I was just so impressed with how genuinely he tries to connect with his audience that way. But I was like, what a brilliant piece of viral marketing, you know?
Yes. No, cool. I'll look for that. That sounds neat. Yeah, he's good with his audience. We're going to get to that in a little bit. I remember when Maverick came out last summer, he talked to the audience before the movie starts, and everyone in the audience cheered him on, which I thought was surprising. I'm like, well, I didn't realize Tom Cruise had this many fans, because I always hear people, knocking him, but
I'll tell you what, it's just pure charisma, right? Yeah. I mean, it's just being genuine. When you talk to people like they're people, that just builds the good vibes.
Did any of the Mission Impossible stories, film or TV show, include a villain plotting to release a worldwide virus just running for life imitated art years ago? Mission Impossible 2
Yeah.
starts out, a scientist has created a horribly deadly virus in a lab in order, I think, to create a vaccine or some kind of thing. So it could be if they can somehow, he says, I created the villain so we could create the hero. And the idea is what they would get from this horrible deadly virus would be a cure for all these other maladies out in the world, right? If they could somehow do that. And of course, this nasty, terrorist guy decides to, hey, I'm going to steal this virus and I'm going to release it into the world unless they meet our demands. And they kill the scientist and he takes the deadly virus out. Like I said, I did like the movie, but think about it. It's a guy creating a deadly virus in a lab.
Yeah, I mean that could never happen in real life, though, right? That's just Hollywood craziness. These sci-fi fantasies that would never happen in real life.
Yes, but let me get back to the article. Let's see, though. Simon Pegg returns for Dead Reckoning after featuring in the previous 5 installments of Variety. The film's core is the rapport between Cruise and director Chris McQuarrie, which began in 2011 with Ghost Protocol, on which McQuarrie served as an uncredited writer. It's become a kind of self-perpetuating, evolving relationship where they've just egged each other on and challenged each other to move the story forward to increase the scale, increase the ambition, Pegg pointed out. The 7th Mission Impossible entry released on Paramount by Paramount on July 12th. Brad Bird actually directed Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. And I remember it came out around the holidays. And I'm thinking, well, I didn't get a Bond movie this year because of the whole MGM rights nonsense. But at least I got a good Mission Impossible movie at Christmas time. And it was a lot of fun, Ghost Protocol. And it showed that Brad Bird, who had originally, I think, started out working for Lucasfilm, then he got into animation. He directed The Incredibles for Pixar. And now he was doing Ghost Protocol. And I thought when Disney bought Star Wars, I'm like, hey, here's your replacement, George Lucas. Get Brad Bird in there. He has a history with Lucasfilm. He's also worked for Disney. Have him direct the new Star Wars trilogy. That's not what happened.
Yeah, I know. And I'll tell you something else.
And I knew he was on good terms with Abrams because Abrams was a producer on the last Mission Impossible. So I think they would work well together.
What you're talking about with Mission Impossible being like a pseudo replacement for James Bond, it kind of is a replacement for James Bond. Since James Bond has been, thrown down the same trash heap that Star Trek, Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Willow, every other thing has been thrown down. Mission Impossible is your, reasonable, substitute.
It's just fun, thrilling action adventure movie, which is what I want to see during the summer. That's well made and well acted. With a likable cast.
Speaking of, that takes us kind of right into our next article, which is still about Mission Impossible. Dead Reckoning Part 1, Tom Cruise reveals getting moviegoers invested in the characters and the story is primary to him and his team. And the audience cheers.
What are you talking about? I thought you were supposed to tear down your...
Oh, yeah, no. I misread that. Tom Cruise reveals how diverse the cast is going to be, in front of and behind the camera. Right.
Well, to be fair with Mission Impossible, I think the cast has always been diverse, but it's never been the focus because...
Exactly! Because he's too busy focusing on the characters and the story.
So actor Tom Cruise recently shared that getting moviegoers invested in the characters and the story of his films is primary to him and his production team. Actor Tom Cruise recently shared that getting moviegoers invested in the characters and story are primary to him. Okay, I said that twice. It's about in the comics article that explains it. Okay. Cruise went on. I'm not going to read the whole article, but I'm going to highlights. Cruise went on the amount of time we spend finding the story, finding those moments with the characters, and not just for myself, but the actors in developing that stuff. That's what engages me. And when I want to thrill the audience also with these other things, because if you don't have that, it doesn't matter how big it is if I'm not invested in the story and invested with the characters. And that is primary for us, he declared. Cruise then elaborated. It's just movies, and why I want to see movies. I want to care about the people. I want to be interested in the world. I want to be interested in those people. That is movies. I'm using all of the skills and the things that I love in cinema, and all the dramatic and comedic and all those films, and the character development that we have, and we're looking, and I'm developing that with all the actors, and then putting it. All we're doing is putting a big landscape on top of that. That's all he illustrated. He then turned his attention to the character he plays, Ethan Hunt. Always with Ethan, I was like, look, the key with this character, and people are like, oh, no, he does this. He doesn't want to have to do that. He has to do it. And, when he's about to go off the cliff and what he's thinking about, what's interesting and what I want in it is that emotional investment as to why he's doing it. And we understand it's not just ta-da, we're not going ta-da, it's story that's getting us there. And anyone, go ahead.
See, that's a great point, because, it's very easy with these kinds of movies to go, well, we know he doesn't die, It's very exciting when we see this crazy stunt, but it's, we know that Tom Cruise actually did this thing, because we know that he does his own stunts, so we know that Ethan is going to survive. But that's not what Ethan is thinking as a character in the story.
No.
As he's going off the cliff. He's going, okay, this could be the last thing I ever do, but I'm doing it for a reason. The hero always thinks, I might be giving my life for this cause,
Yeah, I think in the last movie, though, it was interesting when the villain says, why can't you just die? I think he says that to him, because it's like how he's surviving all these things. But it's not completely beyond believability, because you're watching this stuff, and he's in some intense scenes in these movies. I don't want to spoil it when you eventually get around to watching them, but it's some cool stuff. But anyway, anyone that understands that level of performance, that level of storytelling, understands that I could have that, Cruise elaborated. That's the same kind of emotional investment that you have in a movie that we're shooting in a room. And he said, he continued, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for audience engagement, character audience engagement with that, and telling our story. We're not altering our story and what I want to do, but there are many different ways that I can push an audience away, or I can pull them into my story, and I can pull them into a character. So this is not about pushing an audience away. I'm taking it. That's
exactly right. Exactly right. And it's, and I said this earlier, right? That engagement with the audience is what pulls you in, right? But I think that applies not just to the audience, but I think he sets a standard for the other actors, which they find very appealing too. Which is actually a great pivot to our next article.
Yes, so here we go. Tom Cruise has responded after Scarlett Johansson admitted she'd love to work with him.
Now, just to set the stage a little bit, go back a little bit. We know that this is Scarlett Johansson, who, we all loved as Black Widow in the Marvel stories until they just kind of forgot about her. We were hoping for that, that Scarlett Johansson, title role, Black Widow film. But when we finally got it, we got it after they'd already killed off her character, and it no longer mattered anymore. And it was literally the beginning of the downfall of the Marvel Universe.
Yeah.
So when plus they also went into this whole, streaming thing for which she, took them to court on it. And, well, I was going to say won. She didn't really win, but they basically gave her a payout.
She got what she was owed, I think. That's what
there. And a lot of people at the time were like, okay, well, she's just, ending her career. She's never going to work with Disney again, blah, 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 blah. And at the time, if you remember, I said, all she's doing is exactly what every other actor is going to be doing in the next couple of years as they start complaining about streaming services and residuals and lost wages. And guys, I might point out to you that's exactly what's happening now. The writers did it first, and now the Screen Actors Guild is standing behind them. This is the exact same argument that Scarlett Johansson made 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. As I predicted, okay?
Yeah.
But she was ahead of the curve, and now you have all these people going, I don't want to work with Disney anymore. It's the writers, it's the CG artists, and a lot of actors, and especially directors going, there is nothing for me at Disney. I'm going to the other studios.
Yeah.
So she was ahead of this curve, and now you're seeing the other side of that mountain with this article.
So let's read.
Yeah.
Everyone has their dream pairings of which actors they'd like to work together, especially the performers in question. Scarlett Johansson's recently admitted she'd love to work with Tom Cruise during a red carpet event for the 2023 release Asteroid City, showing the world one such moment of dream casting in action. Now, on the carpet of his own big-ticket movie release, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, Cruise has responded to that admission in an on-brand fashion. While chatting with the correspondent for THR at his recent premiere in Rome, Cruise was shown a clip of Johansson's recent shooting her shot. Obviously impressed, the man who starred in some of the best action movies known to modern cinema gave some commentary on this would-be co-star. Tom Cruise's flattering remarks and his feelings about collaboration were as follows. There's a great actress and a movie star. Oh, yeah, it's going to happen. Absolutely. I've watched her career her whole life. She's enormously talented, very charismatic. It'd be fun. She can do everything. She can do comedy, drama, action, suspense. She's someone that really draws you in on screen and on camera. So absolutely, it's going to happen. Putting Scarlett
Translation, she's a female version of me. So, of course, I want to work with her. Yeah.
Basically, yeah. She's a movie star, and she's been in Hollywood for a while. This is Scarlett Johansson, in my opinion, being very smart because I think she realizes Disney's a sinking ship, and she doesn't want to work with them anyway, even if they did offer her something. And
look at all of the stars in the past, let's say 5 years, that have said, I will not work with Disney anymore. Okay, we're looking at Scarlett Johansson, looking at Johnny Depp, all these people that are going, there's too many of them that are still like keeping one foot in Disney and looking to do other things too, and I don't want to say anything bad about Disney, but I'm telling you, fortune favors the bold. The ones that walk away from Disney and are proud of that fact are doing very well for themselves, and they certainly will be going forward. Scarlett Johansson, you're absolutely right. She's looking for where is the future in the entertainment industry. It ain't with Disney. It's with someone like Tom Cruise that knows how to make a big blockbuster film that makes a lot of money. That's gonna help my star grow, right? Maybe Cruise can play her father. Well, that's going to be a while because he's as old as he is. He's one of those types that he must have vampire blood or something. I don't know.
It's a rumor he's dating Haley Atwell. That's another rumor going around. But
that wouldn't surprise me, and I would not blame him in the slightest. No doubt about that.
Black Widow totally failed to capture the essence of the character and potential of the actress. It's a disaster.
That is exactly right. And look, if you have any sense about your career, you're going to go where you're appreciated and where you're going to get your due. And she knows which side of the bread the butter is buttered, whatever that saying is.
Well, think about it, you're Tom Cruise and you're looking for another, an actress to star in one of your movies. Scarlett Johansson would be a great pick, I think.
Absolutely.
I don't know if this would be for a Maverick sequel or for a Mission Impossible or maybe something else he's working on. Maybe they do another Live, Die, Repeat movie. Have you seen Live, Die, Repeat? End of Tomorrow.
Yes.
End of Tomorrow. Yes, that's.
And I would love to see a sequel to that.
Yeah, I mean Emily Blunt's great too in that too, but I wouldn't mind seeing Scarlett Johansson in some movie like that. But just try to imagine a movie starring Cruise, Johansson, and Depp. That would be fun. Yeah, we were making a point that Disney. I think Disney doesn't do that. Disney, I think, did do that when they had Johnny Depp in those Pirates movies. I think he was one that could draw the audience in with those movies. But again, they've
Real quick, want to say hi because I know she's not going to be staying too long. Maria with T and Telly just stopped in to say big hugs to you. Got to go meditate, but showing love. Thanks so much for stopping by, as well as Leia Rose. Hello, Aged Boomer. Hello, Troy. Hello, Leia Rose. Thank you so much for being here.
Welcome.
And Extraction 2 is the best Thor sequel. Deleted Seed says, no, it's absolutely true. Look, this is kind of why we wanted to front load with Tom Cruise, right? Because this is the good in Hollywood. This is the future of the entertainment industry. I talk a lot about the independent filmmakers, and although that's not exactly what Tom Cruise is, he kind of is. It's kind of him going off and doing his own thing and not worrying about what's going on in the general entertainment industry, Hollywood machine thing. And it's the best thing that can happen. That's where the success is going to come from.
Yeah, Disney owns amazing licenses and potential, but the stuff they're putting out reminds me of the live-action failures of the 70s. Yeah. They have so much intellectual property, it's not even funny, but what are they doing with it?
They're going out of their way to destroy them all, light them on fire, and, throw them in the bin.
They could be making their own French Connection sequel instead they're censoring the old ones. It's ridiculous. This is
absolutely. Which, we'll get to Disney more, later in the show. Let's very quickly touch on. I spent a lot of time on Friday talking about The Flash, but we do kind of need to talk about it because it is in the news. So this one, the title almost tells us everything we need to know. How does The Flash fit into Warner Brothers DC continuity? It doesn't. Boom. That's the whole thing.
So I don't have to read the article then.
If you want to skim through it, you can. It goes way too deep into
all over the
hyper time and Flash DC comic continuity. But I can sum it up for you really fast, and I kind of did on Friday.
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with the Gunverse. This has nothing to do with the future of DC on film. We just needed to get this movie out and be done with it. We spent too much money on it not to release it and make as much as we could off of it. But please, audiences, please don't judge the future James Gunn films based on this. Unfortunately, that's exactly what everyone's going to do. Everyone has completely lost interest in DC. And this does nothing to assuage their disinterest in DC. It's very, very sad.
What is going on with? We have Aquaman coming out. What about the Pattinson Batman sequel? Is that coming out next year? What's the progress on that?
I don't know. Has it been filmed? I don't think it has. If it hasn't been filmed, between what's going on at DC right now and the writer's strike and the Screen Actors Guild strike, I can almost guarantee you that every week they don't have something going on with that Pattinson Batman, it's less and less likely it's ever going to happen.
I kept thinking they would tie in the Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie to it, or have him show up as the Joker in the Pattinson Batman movie, but I don't even know anymore. I don't know. I don't think they know anymore what they're doing. I still haven't seen the Pattinson Batman movie.
Actually, I'm going to say you don't even really need to read any more of that article. I think I pretty much covered everything that needs to be said.
It's interesting. It's a little in depth, and it's about hyper time, and it's about Batman throwing spaghetti onto a plate, and just. And while you're watching The Flash, I'm sure you're seeing the Eric Stoltz Back to the Future movie. You're thinking, can I be watching that instead?
Right, exactly. That's exactly right. But box office, no hard feelings, scores $625 million opening day. The Flash falling to third. Bottom line here, It is not going to make money. It is not going to break even. It is going to lose money. And worse than that, it's damaging the brand. This was something that Zaslav was talking about 2 years ago. We got to not damage the brand. We've got to value the brand, right? Unfortunately, it has been a Herculean effort to try and undo what's already been done to DC by this Snyderverse stuff.
How bad was that Batgirl movie that they had to write that off completely? That's what I want to know.
The clips that I have seen of it, it did not look good. Look, we've seen the stills, right? We've seen the costumes. We've seen the bad cosplay look, right? So that in and of itself hurts it, right? But from everything that I've heard, especially related to this Flash, there was the connective tissue was supposed to be that Michael Keaton's Batman was meant to be doing the whole Batman Beyond thing, but instead of it being, I forget the name of the character who is the young Batman in Batman Beyond.
Terry McGinnis.
Terry McGinnis, thank you. Instead of it being Terry McGinnis, it was supposed to be Barbara Gordon. But again, this was supposed to be Barbara Gordon who's been race swapped. It's also, the woman power thing. The Supergirl from this Flashpoint was supposed to be, taking the place of Superman. So we're going to end up with the girl power thing, right? And they realized, holy crap, this is really not going to work. This is really going to piss off everyone and push everyone away.
Did you see that fake trailer they made? I sent it to you for the Batgirl movie,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And they were like, it was well done. I almost bought it.
Yeah, that's what's really sad. These fan efforts make and this is what I've also said about fan theories about what sequels are going to happen or what's going to happen in the next such and such movie are so disappointing because they are inevitably better than what we actually get out of the studio system. And as much as we talk about the woke and the agenda and the message and so forth, what it all comes back to is the same thing that's always been a problem with these kinds of movies, and it is the studio involvement. These studio heads that don't understand what they've got, they don't understand what makes these things successful, and they go, do more of this. I've just been recently doing a retrospective, not like I'm doing any videos or anything, just for my own personal research retrospective about what happened to the Batman franchise, going from Batman Returns to Batman Forever to Batman and Robin. Yeah. And, the simple answer is McDonald's killed it. But that's a simplified way of saying that the studios got cold feet and then threw the pendulum so far the other way, they ended up killing their golden goose.
Have you seen the Batman Forever McDonald's commercials? You remember them from back in the day?
Yes, I have.
I'll get drive-through, and they have that line in that movie just so they could have the scene with them pulling into the McDonald's to get the superhero.
And it was right around that time too that we were also getting the OnStar videos with that Burton version of Batman. That was some great videos. Yeah. The great commercials. I had no interest in OnStar, but I loved the commercials that they put out. This is... maybe I will end up doing a video about what could have been, with the if they'd continued the Tim Burton verse, because I've seen the treatment that Tim Burton had for a third Batman movie, and it could have been really, really good. But I think, and you know what, I'm going to have to drop it again. I think because we've had too many comments, and I appreciate all the comments. Don't get me wrong, but we do have to look quick at the box office.
Yeah, this is a good one. Yeah, go ahead and pay.
I did. Yeah, No Hard Feelings scores 6.25 million opening day. The Flash falls to third, and that was my lead-in. It's losing money. The fact that it's fallen to third in its second week with nothing else up against it. Let's face it, No Hard Feelings is not a movie that is direct competition to The Flash. That's not what this article is really getting at. It's just saying this is what people are going to see because there is no interest in The Flash. I mean, don't get me wrong. I totally understand wanting to get a full frontal on, the first woman in a comedy film,
She is nice looking. I'll say that for Jennifer.
I guess she's attractive. I mean, I saw her as the replacement. What's it? Mystique, yeah, which is essentially a nude scene throughout, her whole appearance.
What I thought was neat about when she was Mystique, she was like, oh, maybe you prefer when she was trying to, like, I guess, seduce Magneto in the one scene, or like playing around with him, flirting with him, and she's like, maybe you prefer older women. Then she makes herself look like, it's Rebecca Romaine Stamos.
Yeah,
showing
exactly.
Up instead. I thought that was a neat little trick.
That is funny and clever. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, and she's, I you know what? Big Al has a review up of this. I'm going to have to check out. I haven't had a chance yet. But obviously I trust, people I know and their opinions better than, the mainstream media. But, let's face it, it's a comedy. You don't expect too much of it. They can't really go too wrong with it. If it makes you laugh a couple times and you get to see her boobies, then it's worth the price of admission and popcorn. But the sad story is that the Flash is doing exactly what we all predicted.
Somewhere across the multiverse, The Flash, once touted by its own studio as one of the greatest superhero movies of all time, should be towering over the box office with ease in its second weekend of release. But in this universe, audiences are flat out rejecting the Warner Brothers movie starring Ezra Miller. Oh, fuck.
That is a big part of it. I think a lot of people aren't talking about it because I don't think there's enough people that aren't going to see it that are specifically saying, I refuse to support this film that Ezra Miller is in. But the fact is, that is a big part of it. There is still that animosity that, look, you had no problem dropping, Johnny Depp from,
Fantastic Beasts.
Fantastic Beasts and whatnot. But
nothing against Mads Mikkelsen.
But you absolutely had to keep Ezra Miller because, they, them. How did that work out for you? Look, how does the current thing work out for anybody? Just ask Bud Light. Okay, so congratulations. It's bad enough that he, is his only claim to fame is the they them thing that he does, but then he's out there strangling women and running a cult and pushing his they them on other minors. This is not a great look for your superhero character.
Yeah.
Especially when part of the movie is him putting a baby in a microwave. I mean, doesn't have a good look.
Why did they do that?
It was... So I watched the scene,
Everything in these movies is tone deaf. It
was incredibly tone deaf, and there was not enough payoff to it. I literally sat there and watched it going, why? And someone pointed out, well, it's the baby in the microwave meme. I'm like, That is not a good reason when it's your superhero character trying to save the baby. And yes, I also get the whole, he has to eat a burrito first to power up in order to, but again, it's a complete misunderstanding of the character and the Speed Force and the thing that they're about to dive into with this multiverse storyline. If you're going to focus in on the Wally West element of the metabolism, you don't do that here with Barry Allen as you're about to start digging into the multiverse and the Speed Force.
Yeah.
Very, very tone deaf in every single way on every single level. They literally couldn't have done worse if they had planned it out and tried. How can we make this worse? I don't know. Let's have him put a baby in a microwave. Okay, yes, that will piss more people off. Yes. Oh, there's a dog here. Let's make sure the dog dies while he's saving the babies. Okay, let's do that.
Do you know what I don't understand? You have those X-Men movies when they have Quicksilver show up, right?
Right.
And they do the Quicksilver freeze, the freeze animation things, and they're so
Yeah.
much more fun and inventive.
Because there is an element of, I literally have the time to do whatever I want.
Yes.
So I'm going to get some coffee here,
Yes.
and I'm going to listen to my music, and I'm going to save everybody without too much effort, without breaking a sweat. That is kind of what they wanted to go for here without understanding it, and therefore they said, I've got to eat because I need the calories. Now it's not this effortless, I can do this thing. It's, oh, what am I gonna do? I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Again, it pisses off everybody, right? It pisses off everyone who's upset about what's been going on with Ezra behind the scenes. All the fans of the actor that they have shunned, while not, shunning Ezra Miller. They are pissing off everybody who's just sick and tired of the thing, of the moment, the they, them, and all this kind of stuff. They're pissing off all the fans because they're not honoring the source material. It's just thing after thing after thing. It's like...
They're killing the audience is what they're doing. That's what's going
on. Yeah, they're not even just killing the franchise. You're right. They're killing the audience. And the audience didn't show up because they're tired of it.
But let's see. But in this universe, audiences are flat out rejecting Warner Brothers movies starring Ezra Miller as the eponymous timeline-spanning speedster, rather than taking a victory lap. The DC comic book adventure is cratering in third place behind Holdovers, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and Pixar's Elemental, and ever so slightly ahead of Jennifer Lawrence's new R-rated comedy No Hard Feelings. I think they were making a point that I keep losing my spot. This is driving me nuts. Okay, that Spider-Man Across the Universe was #1 this week. This past weekend?
I guess.
It's kind of shocking because that came out a few weeks ago. It dropped out of the #1 spot, but now it's back on the #1 spot. That doesn't typically happen, right?
That just tells you how little there is at the theater that people are going to see. See, this was an article that we bypassed because it was old news by the time we even got to it. But just to touch on it real quick, a lot of outlets are talking about, the death of the movie, the death of the cinema because The Flash isn't doing well and Elementals isn't doing well and this movie isn't doing well and that's not doing well. It's like, but the problem is there are all these trash films being put out that nobody cares about, nobody wants to see, and in many cases are actively looking to not see. Okay? Going back a few articles, when Mission Impossible hits and it does phenomenally well, it will again destroy that whole narrative and underscore the fact that people just want good entertainment that doesn't piss them off and insult them. So the cinema isn't dead. It's Hollywood that's dead.
From what you're saying, fatigue from bad superhero movies is what caused The Flash to fall more than Miller's bad.
Exactly.
Well, here's what happens. People are tired of the football being taken out from
Yeah. Yeah, and especially here, this is the same thing I said about Black Widow, right? You just killed the character, the movies are going nowhere, and now you give us a half-assed film that we said we wanted, but this isn't the film that we wanted. Well, it's the same thing. I did not care for the Snyderverse, but there were fans of it, and they've already been told that's over. This isn't continuing. We're putting out Aquaman and The Flash because they're already in the can, but these don't go anywhere. So even they are staying home because they know there's no future in it.
People were complaining about the new Marvel series Secret Invasion because they're bringing up, Nick Fury, you haven't been the same since the snap, and Thanos and all that, and people are saying stop bringing up Thanos already.
Yeah, because all you're doing is you're underscoring how bad things have gotten. Yes, they are joking about exactly the thing they should not be bringing attention to, because it's not the snap that did anything to Nick Fury. It was his storyline in Captain Man-Pants.
Yeah.
You know? They have actively undermined the character, and it has nothing to do with the snap. It has to do with the lack of development and indeed the undermining of their stories since the snap. They have had no idea where they were going from here.
Let's see. It also goes on to say Lawrence's raunchy comedy "No Hard Feelings" opened in fourth place with 50 million from 3,208 venues. It's not a bad result for contemporary theatrical comedy, but analysts were expecting more from the 45 million budgeted Sony movie that stars one of the biggest names in Hollywood. Well, earlier this year, for example, Universal's wild R-rated Cocaine Bear managed to collect 23.2 million in its opening weekend without the promise of household names on the marquee.
Yeah. And I'm guessing no nudity unless you consider a CG bear to be nude.
I didn't see it. You never know, though. Maybe Ray Liotta. Sorry, no, I'm not going to speak ill of the dead. Sorry.
No.
It's just...
but seriously, this... And what they just said is again the media doing their stupid spin and their tone dead take, because the reality is, the studio, when they put out a comedy like that, I don't care who they put in it, they're not expecting huge returns. But then again, they probably didn't put a lot of money into the film. There's got to be zero special effects in that film, So I can't imagine there was a whole lot of, reshoots and behind the scenes and, all the other things that are miring down all these other films. So whatever it makes, which is probably pretty decent, is probably going to be better than they expected. Maybe not a lot. Maybe it's not going to be, Maverick, and it's not going to be Cocaine Bear, but, it's still going to pull a profit, which is a huge thing. In this summer, at least.
I'm telling you, though, I've not had the desire to see anything. Here's my issue, too. I don't know. No Hard Feelings didn't sell me.
Let's put it this way. Whatever money, this, what's this? No Hard Feelings? Whatever profit it makes is that much more profit than any Disney film this year.
Yeah.
That's a success to me.
Plus, Sony can actually sell that to a streaming service. Like Amazon.
Deleted Scene says, no nudity in Cocaine Bear. Could have used some.
But think about it, though.
Everything's better with boobies.
Sony can still license out, No Hard Feelings to a streaming service like Netflix or something else and make money that way. Whereas
bingo!
Everything on Disney Plus and Warner Brothers, I don't know if they license their stuff out still or if it just goes straight to Actually, it's not HBO Max anymore. My mistake. It's now called just plain Max.
Jeez.
Because
that's marketing genius right there.
Is it me or have they not been able to decide on what to do with their streaming? Warner Brothers, I thought it was...
Tom Connors made a great point about it. You have the HBO name, you have the Cinemax name, and you drop the HBO for the Cinemax, which everyone in their mind shifts to Skinemax, softcore porn.
Yeah.
That's the branding you're going to go with. Okay.
That was a joke made in the original Austin Powers, how Scott Evil said, "Oh, I heard there's a nice titty movie on Skinemax tonight I'm going to watch." And Dr. Evil was like, "This is what you choose to do with your life." He's playing like the disappointed dad.
Yeah.
But Scott Evil was like the 90s slacker caricature.
Right. Right.
And Dr. Evil was basically the caricature of all the Bond villains.
Right.
But that was a New Line movie, and Warner Brothers own New Line. They should know what Max refers to. Maybe they're trying to get away from that, actually.
I'm just so frustrated with the entertainment industry.
Let's go to Disney Marvel stuff.
Yeah, let's as long as we're dumping on Disney, let's really dig into it. We'll start with the big one, right? We don't even have to spend long on this because a lot of other people have talked about it.
I'm going to spend an hour on this. I don't know what you're talking about. You are in denial of what's going to happen with this. You think that this is not going to happen. But we'll get into it.
Okay.
Latondra Newton, who has never mind. This is not the other article. Okay.
Well, yeah, we got to start here.
Latondra Newton, who has served as Disney's chief diversity officer since 2017, is leaving the company. An internal memo from Disney Chief Human Resources Officer Sonia Coleman announced Newton's departure as circulated to staff Tuesday. Coleman wrote that Newton decided to leave the Walt Disney Company to pursue other endeavors. We hear that she plans to join a corporate board and focus on a creative company she owns. Disney said Newton's direct reports will now report to Julie Murgis, SCVP Talent Acquisition, who will run the DEI operations on an interim basis while the search for Newton's replacement is underway. Newton's title was SVP, Chief Diversity Officer, a role which she oversaw Disney's strategic diversity and inclusion initiative, including Disney, according to Disney's bio. She worked with various business segments and leaders across the enterprise to build on Disney's commitment to produce entertainment that reflects a global audience and sustains a welcoming and inclusive workplace for everyone. Her time at Disney included co-signing with Bob Iger and Bob Chapek the May 2020 memo to Disney staff in the wake of the George Floyd killing, titled "Resolve in the Time of Unrest."
In other words, we got a diversity hiring diversity hires that has the expected result, right? We end up with a bunch of talentless hacks that are only there because of the color of their skin and what's dangling or not dangling between their legs and who they want to sleep with. And you end up with the results you would expect. You end up with a company that's going broke. And, you know, if we didn't need to, if we didn't have these things to look at, then just look at, you know, a sub company that hires diversity hires and sends people down into the ocean to be crushed like an egg. Okay, this is what happens when you hire diversity hires. And the sooner that these people disappear into obscurity and these companies go bankrupt, the better.
Yeah, but let me see here. Variety was the first to report on Newton's exit today. But why did she leave, though? Did she leave of her own accord, or was this Disney getting rid of her?
Yeah. So the analysts, the people that look at the numbers, the Valiant Renegades, the WDW Pros, Midnight's Edge, they're basically saying, look at the way that she got, you know, that she's exiting. She doesn't make a statement. The official word is they're separating ways, and she's going on to other things, particularly her jewelry business or her Etsy store or whatever. That sounds very much like a company saying, you're fired, we don't want you here anymore, and we won't tell anybody we're firing you. But yeah, she's pretty much been fired, you know, in my opinion. And based on all the evidence from people that know how the business works.
But am I supposed to think that Disney is reforming itself at this point? I'm not buying it.
No, not necessarily. I mean, one would like to hope, but I've given up any hope for Disney. I think, if nothing else, they're just using her as a scapegoat. You know, you've hired a bunch of people that haven't worked out. You know, we're going to have, they're probably starting to look at their finances and going, we're going to have a really bad financial year and we're going to have to take a lot of losses. We have to explain to our shareholders what we're doing.
So they're chopping heads right now.
Yeah, exactly. And they are all sacrificial goats. That's what they all are. And at least in that I can say good. The problem is if they double down and do it again with another bunch of morons, then let the company just go back.
Isn't Iger partly responsible for this mess?
He's 100% responsible. Hell, he's even the one himself who, you know, said, you know, the buck stops with me when they were talking about Star Wars and Kathleen Kennedy. He goes, well, really, the buck stops with me. You damn right it does.
The only thing I am sympathetic with Iger about is that I do believe he was trying to shoo Kennedy away from the main Star Wars and give it over to Favreau. But then, of course, Chapek comes in and says, what are you doing working on this Children of Blood and Bone? By the way, I heard the author of Children of Blood and Bone hated what Lucasfilm was planning to do with the project. And
doesn't surprise me.
I think they ended up getting sold to another studio, which I think the author was grateful for, so I thought that was interesting.
And I'm sure the author probably had something to do with that too.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's, but don't know, don't care.
Speaking of things you don't care about.
Oh yeah, I think I got to do this in two parts too. But give me a second here. But yeah, a lot of people have been talking about this. I'm sorry, I'm still going to call it a rumor until it happens. We'll see. But apparently, upcoming Star Wars film focused on Rey will see her train a female apprentice destined to emerge as a future leader. Look, even the mainstream media has turned its back on Star Wars and admitted that the sequel trilogy was a flop that nobody liked. And they could blame it on, the istophobes and, blah, 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 and this and that. But everybody knows at this point that Disney Star Wars is a train wreck. Nobody cares. And if you try to double down on this, it's... Yeah. Look.
They're doubling down.
They absolutely are. But, again, this stuff doesn't happen in a vacuum. We're going to be we're going to talk more about this later, but Indiana Jones is coming out, and that's going to flop big time. And I swear the entire industry is turning on Kathleen Kennedy. I mean, you saw, Steven Spielberg basically did the middle finger to her at the what do you call it the other day when he said, the connective tissue was, and it's not Kathleen Kennedy, it's John Williams,
Yeah. He's right.
And it was very clear, and you could see that Harrison and Lucas, they all were in on it. They were all there kind of telling Kathleen Kennedy, fuck you, bitch.
John Williams was part of the connective tissue of that star.
Yeah, but the way it was said, though, the way Steven Spielberg set it up was to make Kathleen Kennedy think he was going to say her when he clearly wasn't. That was a huge insult, and she knew it. And it's finally that is the moment where the entire industry can look and say, okay, it's okay for us now to turn our back on her, because nobody is supporting her anymore. She's screwed up way too much. And I've been saying this for a long time. You want to talk about your girl boss, your female power, your example of feminism. You don't want it to be someone who is single-handedly destroying everything she touches. That is not a good example of feminism and female power. That's the exact opposite.
Yeah. Ray, I have to tell you something. Ray Finn, most likely. It's R.I.P. deleted scenes, honestly.
Yeah.
You like the spellings of these? Let me just read real quick, okay?
Yeah.
This article. A new plot synopsis has been revealed about the upcoming Star Wars film starring Daisy Ridley that was announced at Star Wars Celebration in April. Now, according to issue 1,335 of Production Weekly via Screen Rant, a new synopsis for the film has been released. It reads, said roughly 15 years after Rey's victory over Palpatine at the end of Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, the sequel delves into Rey's courageous endeavor. Oh, well, they spelled her name R-E-Y. Maybe I'm wrong. I thought it was R-E-I. Okay.
Who cares?
The sequel delves into Rey's courageous endeavor to restore the Jedi Order, where she assumes the role of a mentor to two promising young students, a girl and a boy. As her training progresses, it becomes evident that the girl possesses extraordinary abilities destined to emerge as a future leader. Does this mean the boy is going to be evil?
Probably. Look, honestly, this is the other thing. You see these things happen over and over again, and if you don't learn from the past, you're doomed to look like an idiot later on. We've seen this happen with all the announcements about Star Trek 4 over and over and over again. When we know that there's no interest in it, there's no financial backing, and it invariably never happens. Now we're seeing these announcements coming out when we know that Disney is in a financial crunch, is talking about pulling back from big, financial films and whatnot. And we're about to see a huge failure with another Lucasfilm franchise in a couple weeks. And we're in the middle of a writer's strike, so that means any treatments that are out there are not being worked on and actively they're on hold. Everything is on hold.
Yeah. Everyone is turning on Kathleen Kennedy now, but about 5 years ago, did the likes of Disney and Spielberg not see her ideas were bad ones then? I think Spielberg saw her ideas as bad ones because he didn't bother directing Indy 5.
Yeah.
He ran away from that.
And Lucas had nothing to do with it from the beginning.
As far as Disney goes, you have to understand, at that time, people were still seeing The Last Jedi as a successful movie. A controversial movie, hint, hint, but they were not. It wasn't until Rise of Skywalker came out that people really turned on the sequel trilogy. People were basically split when Last Jedi came out. There were people that thought it was brilliant. I don't know what movie they were watching, but...
And this is what I've been telling everyone all along. You have to understand that these TV series and movies that we're seeing now are more than 3-4 years in the making. So by the time they start to realize, oh, something's going on, they've already got 5 different projects already in the filming stages. They can't stop. They cannot stop. They have to put this shit out. And so what do? They try to mitigate the problems, and what inevitably is happening is they're actually making things worse. And then you got someone like Kathleen Kennedy, who's not only, letting them make things worse, but she's continually undermining. When you hear what was supposed to have happened with Obi-Wan, what was supposed to happen with Book of Boba Fett, and what she did to them, she is purposely making them worse.
Yeah. Well, just the firing Gina Carano, that was enough to sabotage The Mandalorian, I think.
Yeah. But even that they could have come back from. But you can't keep taking these hits after hits after hits. Making it Leia instead of Luke in Obi-Wan. Which would have made sense in the canon of the film series. Now it makes zero sense.
No. That's why I've been going back to watch Sailor Moon anime in the 90s. Bad boys, bad girls, good boys, girls, and lots of sparkling effects, rose petals, and dumplings. Did you know, Rosefire, that at one point Disney could have made a Sailor Moon movie?
Kind of glad they didn't.
Rumored that they were. The rumor was Kirsten Dunst was going to be Sailor Moon in it. This was before she had done Spider-Man.
That actually would have been pretty good.
Yeah, we'll see, but it didn't end up happening. But there was a rumor going around they were going to do it. I expect it would not have been a good movie, though. People are turning on Kathleen Kennedy now because they need someone to hold the bag. Disney is disintegrating in slow motion, and all the incompetents that have taken it over are finally realizing their numbers are up. Here's the thing, though. I don't think Kathleen Kennedy thinks she's done anything wrong and realize her numbers up. I think she's stubborn, and I think.
But it doesn't matter what she thinks. The fact is, everyone around her knows. That's the
get rid of her, though.
I don't know.
That's what remains to be seen.
This is the biggest problem, right? We keep talking about this from the perspective of if we wanted to, if we own this company and we wanted it to be successful financially, what would we do? But that does not seem to be Disney's intent. You've got Iger, who either still believes he's got a political career or is just so friggin' egotistical that he, is trying to, save face, save his legacy, get his book sales up or something. I don't know what the hell his thing is.
I think his presidential aspirations are over.
No doubt about that. But I honestly think that you've got a bunch of people that see Disney as their own personal secondhand store that they're just picking over and destroying as they go like locusts, and it's going to take someone that is an activist stockholder that comes in and says, I'm taking over. I want to be on the board, I want voting rights, and I want to be CEO. I'm going to clean house and we're going to turn this business around. Unless that happens, Disney is going to sink. I mean, yes, it takes a long time when you have as much money as they do, but their money is not infinite. There is no such thing as too big to fail.
Yeah. So let's go to the next one. Marvel.
Because this is what we have to look forward to. 2023 Comic-Con announcements disappoint fans. I'm telling you, nobody cares about Marvel Studios anymore.
This is bizarre, though, because I'm thinking Marvel and Comic-Con, that makes perfect sense for them to show up there in some capacity, right? Because that's...
Nobody cares about Marvel Comics, let alone Marvel Studios.
If Sony was smart, they'd do something for, like, Kraven, or I don't know if they have the End of the Spider-Verse sequel ready or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't... Maybe Sony doesn't have anything ready. I guess they have that Kraven movie coming.
All anyone cares about is Spider-Man, and honestly, where is Spider-Man going to go now? What are they doing with Spider-Man? There is no Spider-Man anymore because he was tied too closely to the MCU.
I had a thing where I thought they were going to somehow send Tom Holland over to the Venomverse. I kept thinking that was going to happen.
If they don't do that, they have no chance. Because I'm sorry, Venom did okay, but it's not enough to build a universe around without Spider-Man.
And then there was Morbius, and now they have...
Oh, and that one was just brilliant. Everyone
I'm not saying anything
Morbius.
about Morbius until you watch it. It's okay. I think Matanui gets annoyed if I keep talking about Morbius.
I can imagine.
It's just...
It's Morbin time.
It was so bad. No, seriously, and I want to make a point. When I went to watch that, I was not expecting... I didn't go in there with bad intent or bad... I was thinking, okay, I'll give this movie a shot. The critics are wrong about lots of things. And then, oh no, they weren't wrong about this. But anyway, in 2022, Marvel Studios had a game-changing panel that was capped off by the announcement of the next two Avengers films. As a result, the anticipation for the studio's Hall H comeback is high this year. In May 2023, Echo star Alakwa Cox even confirmed that she will attend this year's San Diego Comic-Con, indicating that Marvel Studios will at least have a presence. Via the R.I.P, Marvel Studios reportedly will not hold an Hall H panel event this year at San Diego Comic-Con, which is set to be held July 20th to the 23rd. Studio had a massive panel at last year's Hall H, in which several new projects in the MCU's multiverse saga were announced. According to the outlet, Marvel Studios will still have a presence on the convention floor, meaning there will be some news that comes from the Comic-Con that weekend. It is unknown exactly why Marvel Studios is skipping such a major event at Comic-Con, but it's likely that the recent halting of multiple MCU productions due to the ongoing writer's strike impacted the studio's decision. I swear, I think the writer's strike is the best thing that could happen to Marvel right now.
Yeah.
Because now they're able to regroup a bit and figure out, yeah, we have to... Any thoughts on this left, huh?
No. I have absolutely zero interest. I never really took to the Tom Holland Spider-Man beyond its relationship to the MCU. So I don't care about their Spider universe. I don't care about any Marvel films, and I certainly don't care about Disney's Marvel films.
Here's what I argued about the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. I didn't care that much for the first one, though I liked Michael Keaton's Vulture and he was good. I thought the sequel was better, and I thought the third one was the best. So I argued they were getting a little better with each one. I'm still not completely sold. One of my issues with Tom Holland's Spider-Man is that I feel he's immature for his age, unless they're just trying to present how the actual new generation is. Maybe each generation is a little less mature for their age than the prior one. I don't know, but... logging off for the night. Thanks, everyone. Yeah, good night, Rosefire. Good night, Horizon Talker.
Thanks so much.
Catch the rest on the repeat. You're going to miss some good stuff, though, coming up, because we're about to talk about Secret Invasion.
Yeah, let's wrap up this Marvel thing with this bunch of stupidity. We got Sam Jackson coming out and saying, I refuse to be in any movie that has anything to do with AI and blah, 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 and this and that. And then sure enough, the series that he's in, the opening is done by CG. It's like, okay.
On Wednesday morning, Disney Plus subscribers were treated to the first episode of Marvel Studios' Secret Invasion, which included an opening sequence that highlighted the mystery behind the series. The shape-shifting aliens had infiltrated Earth. Soon after the episode aired, a report surfaced noting that the opening had been created using artificial intelligence, something that sparked an outcry on social media among users speculating it had cost artists their job. Now, Method Studios, which is behind the opening, wants to clarify those words surrounding how AI was used in the animated open made by its design division. AI is just one tool among the array of tools our artists used. No artist job was replaced by incorporating these new tools. Instead, they have complemented and assisted our creative teams, read a statement from Method to The Hollywood Reporter. Method explains THR. It explains to THR that it used existing and custom AI tools creating the character attributes and movements in the opening, but the entire production of the opening involved traditional work of the art department, animators, compositors, and other artists. On Wednesday, Polygon published statements from Secret Advantage and director and executive producer Ali Salam, stating that the show's title sequence was created using AI. Salam was quoted as saying he didn't really understand how it worked, but he noted we would talk to them about ideas and themes and words, and then the computer would go off and do something. And then we could change it a little by using words, and it would change. The potential of AI in Hollywood has been a high-profile and controversial subject, and so word quickly spread about its use in Secret Invasion, which stars Samuel L. Jackson as he reprises his role of Nick Fury. Maybe this is the series that started the writer's strike, huh?
Oh, gosh. Okay, sure.
You looking forward to Secret Invasion?
I have not seen a Marvel film since Endgame.
Padawannabe, how was it? I'm curious. I've heard people have been let down by it. They said it's kind of dull, but I don't know. Samuel Jackson is against fascinating new technology ever since he got eaten by raptors in Jurassic Park. Good point. All right. Let's move on to gaming.
Okay.
Unless, did you have something you want to say about the AI thing? I know you're all about the...
No, just Sam Jackson can just go eat a bag of...
He was doing some stuff about Brie Larson this week, saying the Brie Larson haters are a bunch of incels and stuff.
Well, yeah, because he's a big simp for her. That's why. But you know what? He's completely tone dead behind the curve, and he can go suck an egg. I heck with him. Super Mario Brothers. Let's talk about something a little bit more interesting.
AI needs enough time to adapt to all the different artist styles and techniques. They can't fire everyone yet. Okay, well, we'll see. Probably not yet. Super Mario Brothers Wonder Mario RPG Remake and more coming to the Nintendo Switch. So, of course, there's been no E3 this summer. E3 was the Electronics Entertainment Expo that they would have each summer. But, which is what replaced the summer Consumer Electronics Show. It used to be the Consumer Electronics Show. Do you remember those?
Yes, I do.
One in the winter, one in the summer. That's what I should have done the good old days on.
Oh, yeah.
But it's funny, in Tetris, they bring up the Consumer Electronics Show, and that's where the guy first sees Tetris for the first time. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember the CES. I used to look forward to gaming magazines, and they would do their winter CES issue or the summer CES issue, because that's when you would find out about all the upcoming games, because we didn't have internet back then. So you have to buy magazines. That's how you find out about gaming news. Now we have the internet. And trust me, one of the first things I did when we got the internet was look up gaming news.
Yeah.
So Nintendo had their Direct. They do these things called Nintendo Directs every so often. And here's the latest. Nintendo held a Nintendo Direct online event Wednesday. Yeah, they told everybody a day before. There was no warning about this. Announcing a mix of new games and remakes featuring its mascot Mario that are coming to the Nintendo Switch. Super Mario Bros. Wonder is a new 2D game starring Mario and other characters from the long-running franchise, including Luigi, Yoshi, Princess Peach, Toad, and Daisy. Wonder features a changing world and new power-ups, including one that turns Mario into an elephant. Super Mario Bros. Wonder comes out on the Nintendo Switch on October 20th. Did you get a chance to watch that trailer before?
Yes, I did. It looked like a lot of fun.
Yeah, I was originally toying with the idea of doing a good old days on New Super Mario Brothers, which was a revival side-scrolling Mario Brothers game, because they had gone 3D with Mario after Mario 64 came out. But when they came out with the Nintendo DS, they made new Super Mario Brothers using polygonal graphics, not sprites, but it was still on a 2D plane. Do you understand?
Sure.
So it played kind of like the old ones. And they did 4 of them, and I heard a rumor going around that one of the games being mentioned at the next Direct was another new Super Mario Brothers game. And I'm like, they're probably just going to take the Wii version and just upgrade it. But that's not what we're getting here. This is a completely new game, and it is not actually. It doesn't seem to be part of the new Super Mario Brothers series. It looks like it's its own thing, which is good because I kind of thought the new Super Mario Brothers series was getting stale. And I kept thinking, isn't it a little soon for a new 2D Mario game? And then I realized the last new Super Mario Brothers game came out in 2012.
Yeah.
So it's been 11 years. It's time for a new 2D Mario game. So you get to play as Daisy. You know who Daisy is? She's the other princess.
I was going to say, it has to be a princess, right?
She's a brunette.
That's okay. Brunettes are good too.
Yeah, I think they pair her with Luigi, I guess, when they're doing the tennis doubles thing, because they
sure, why not?
Games too. But maybe they feature in a future movie.
Maybe boy versus girl would be too contentious these days.
It looks really good, though. It looks a step up from the new Super Mario Brothers games. There's a lot of little animations in it that the guys over Nintendo Life, they were doing a slow-mo of it.
Real quick, let's say goodnight to Luddites R Us. He has to bounce. Thanks so much for stopping by.
You later.
Yep.
Bye-bye. But do you think the fact that ranking a 2D Mario game has anything to do with the success of a certain movie that just came out?
Oh, if it doesn't, it's the wildest of coincidences. I'm sure.
I think they timed all this.
Yeah, and well, they should. They need. Look, right now the film coming out is great. This is the first exposure, though, that a lot of kids are getting to this. Right. We're going at it with nostalgia. The kids are just seeing this movie for the first time. So they need to... It's almost like, hey, let's just kind of re-release the old games, but we'll make them new games, but we'll kind of have them in the old style. And, the nostalgic people will enjoy it. The kids will like it. Yeah.
They do a little bit of everything, Nintendo. They'll re-release older titles, but then they'll do new titles. Like the new Zelda game, the Zelda that they've been doing, is a completely new take on what they did. It's kind of like a natural evolution. Especially if you look at the first game, you can see why they did Breath of the Wild and they went this way. But then they'll do a throwback, which is like they'll do a remake of Link's Awakening, which was a Game Boy Zelda game. They'll do it with new graphics, but it's basically the same game. So they'll do that too. So they kind of do both, Nintendo. But other Nintendo games shown included a game starring Princess Peach and a Detective Pikachu sequel.
Interesting.
And apparently they did Detective Pikachu on the 3DS years ago, and they said, we promise you'll have a definitive ending to this story. And I think in the Detective Pikachu movie, yes, there was a Detective Pikachu movie. Detective Pikachu was voiced by Ryan Reynolds, and then he morphs into a human Ryan Reynolds at the end of the movie. Which I didn't see that movie, so I can't speak to
that. Is just bizarre.
It's just bizarre. Okay. Remakes and remasters were also featured during the Nintendo Direct. Super Mario RPG, originally released on the Super Nintendo in 1996. I got that for my birthday in 1996. We'll get a remake that comes out on November 17th. Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, first released on the Nintendo 3DS. We'll get a remaster for the Nintendo Switch as well. So yeah, this is a lot of Mario games coming out. Super Mario RPG is just like it sounds. It's a role-playing game, but you're playing as Mario and other characters in it. It was actually developed by Squaresoft, the people that made the Final Fantasy games.
Oh, okay.
And this is a remake of it. What's interesting is the game starts out with Bowser kidnapping, the princess again, right? Mario has to go save her. And it basically, and there was a big complaint, it's like, really, he's doing this again?
Yeah.
But it's just a thing he does. But then this giant sword falls out of the sky and disrupts even Bowser's plans. And I think in the course of the game, you develop your own party. Like in RPGs, you get different characters in your party. And Bowser ends up having to join Mario and Princess Peach to stop this new bad guy.
Wow.
It's kind of funny. It's like they have to join forces. in this game to stop a greater threat, which I thought was kind of funny.
Interesting.
But yeah. Also, other things coming out for the Switch: Batman Arkham Trilogy will help with the Switch this fall, which will comprise Batman Arkham Asylum, Batman Arkham City, and Batman Arkham Knight. Those are those games Mr. Matchstick is always playing.
Exactly.
They're getting Switch versions. Unfortunately, from what I heard on the actual Switch card you buy, only one of those games is going to be on it. The other two are going to download to your Switch.
Huh.
The problem with physical media, how physical is it these days?
Exactly.
And the Metal Gear Solid collection, people are really angry about this one because apparently all that's on the actual card is a menu, and the game still download onto the Switch.
Oof.
So if you have one of the higher up consoles, maybe get it on that. I don't know if you have a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X. I don't know. You can always buy it digitally too, since that's basically what you're doing anyway.
Or if all that bothers you, just get yourself an Xbox.
Yes, let's move on. Oh, Microsoft, I don't know what they're doing. For starters, they're lying.
Yep.
They actually are lying here, which I think is interesting. This is all because they want Activision. They're trying to buy Activision, and they keep getting stymied. First, they were blocked by I think English courts. Now, I think the FTC is coming in and saying they can't do it. I don't know how much time they've wasted on this. Okay, Microsoft admits Xbox has lost the console wars as it battles for $69 billion Activision Blizzard buyout. It's in its proposed findings of facts submitted on the first day of Microsoft's court battle with the FTC over the $69 billion acquisition of Activision Blizzard. Microsoft has claimed Xbox has officially lost the console wars. This is the company saying this. The company that owns the system. They're saying they lost the console wars. A section of the document submitted by Microsoft describes its entry into the gaming industry in 2001, when its original Xbox console was outsold by both Sony and Nintendo by a significant margin. And per Xbox, it hasn't stopped losing the console wars ever since. I believe this is a lie, maybe if you're counting Japan, but I know the GameCube, from what I heard back in the day, it was third place. PlayStation 2, that was the big hitter system that did very well. And I thought Xbox edged out even the Nintendo GameCube. So I don't know what they're talking about here. I don't think they were third place in sixth generation. I think this is a lie. Unless they're counting worldwide sales. Maybe they're including Japan, because obviously the Xbox didn't sub well in Japan. That might be what they're doing here, ranking creatively. But if they're talking about Europe and if they're talking about North America, I'm sorry. They've not done so badly. I don't know what they're talking about. Xbox's console has consistently ranked third behind Nintendo and PlayStation in sales in 2021. Xbox had a share of 60%, while Nintendo and PlayStation had shares of redacted and redacted, respectively. I'm assuming it's more than 16% for those. Likewise, for console revenues and share of console currently in the use of gamers install base, Xbox trails with 21%, while PlayStation and Nintendo have their shares respectively. Xbox's console has consistently ranked third or three behind PlayStation and Nintendo in sales. Again, this is another lie. The Xbox 360, I thought, was the top console that generation. Anyway. In its purposeful finding of facts submitted on the first day of Microsoft's court battle with the FTC over the $69 billion Activision Blizzard, Microsoft claims Xbox. Okay, we've already seen this. Let me see. Oh yeah, that's it. So I think some guy over the FTC threw this out, saying that they had they didn't really see Nintendo as a serious competitor for Xbox. To be fair, Nintendo does its own thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never heard a company talk about this console this way. You know, when the GameCube was suffering during the sixth generation, Nintendo didn't come out and say we're the losers of this generation. They would do things like, okay, we're slashing the price to $100. Here's the best gaming bargain out there. Hey, look at this cool new game we had come out, Metroid Prime, that won the
it does come off
Game of the Year award. They would at least talk up, even if they were losing, because just because you're in last place now, you can still build yourself. Sony with the PlayStation 3 did not do well at the beginning of that console generation. By the end, though, they had built up a following and did better by the end.
It does come off as sour grapes, doesn't it? Like, oh, woe is us, you know. which is not going to earn you any points with an audience. You know, they're going to be like, yeah, we agree, you suck. That's why we're not planning on getting you, and we're going to Nintendo or whatever. You know.
Here's another thing I don't understand, but I'm assuming this has to do with them trying to get sympathy for buying Activision. They've already stated that Call of Duty is not going to be an Xbox exclusive. They'll keep releasing it in other systems.
Maybe that's exactly it. Maybe it's like, oh yeah, this isn't an antitrust thing. We're going to go bankrupt because we suck. You got to let us buy this.
You have $69 billion to spend on a company. You're not going bust.
Well, I know, but they're going to try to spin that if they can.
I don't even know why they want Call of Duty. I guess it's still a big game, but
maybe so that they can, undermine it and destroy it and make it all female or something.
They've already done that before Microsoft bought it.
There you go.
No, there was that thing with that woman that was trying to work on the Knights of the Old Republic remake, remember, and she was putting the female sniper in World War II, and
yeah.
Which I'm sure they existed, but it was like...
No. I would defy anybody to show me an example. You know, there might have been some French resistance, civilian sniper, but no, there was never any female snipers in combat during World War II. Just did not happen.
All right, let's go to the Musk category.
Yeah, and this really is... because I know everybody is so interested in awards shows these days. This is so important because Hollywood is so glamorous, and this is Hollywood royalty we're talking about, right?
Well, here we go. Jamil proposes non-binary people get their own category at road shows so Hollywood doesn't completely shut out women. Okay, so this was interesting. No, but this is what this is about. I'll explain it to you.
Yeah.
Okay. Jamil was weighing in on award shows having gender-neutral categories and proposes people who identify as non-binary get their own category to not completely shut out women. She doesn't like the idea of there being of them getting rid of gender from the category of best.
She sounds like a TERF to me. Maybe she should be canceled.
That's what it's sounding like. Yeah, I'm sure people. I think she's already being yelled at online. Would it not be better to have a non-binary people their own category rather than open the door for Hollywood to completely shut out women, given the known disproportionate amount of men versus women winning at award shows? Reads a statement Jamil posted. She's the one who played Titania on She-Hulk.
Yeah. She's the worst of the worst Hollywood filth that nobody cares about. I personally don't care if she abuses herself with a hot poker somewhere, but having said that, she's basically saying what so many other people are saying. If we're going to bother having gendered categories, then they need to be those genders. And if you're going to take that away and you could just swap over to the other side anytime you want, this becomes meaningless. Yeah, that's what we've all been saying. That's what the girls competing against men in swimming competitions have been saying too.
Yeah. So you know about this actress from other things besides She-Hulk? I never heard of her till She-Hulk came out.
Yeah, no, she was in that The Good Place, that the people die and are trying to get to heaven, but they're in hell, and it's a comedy weird. And very, very woke kind of crap. But all of her commentaries, she's like the wokest of the woke. She when she does interviews, she borders on like the George Takei type bad takes.
Didn't realize. Okay.
Yeah.
I just thought there was this interest though that people were pushing for a non-gender category in the Oscars, and of course that she's now screaming that this will now affect women winning awards. So
yeah, and she's not wrong on that. That's true. I mean, if you're gonna. If you're going to embrace this stupidity, then give them their own category. In fact, why don't you make 1,000 categories to go with all the frickin' genders people make up today? Because people are just gonna sit through all that for the awards, right? Because everyone's just flocking to the awards as it is. We want an 8-hour awards show.
I'm telling you, the whole reason we had the Academy Awards to begin with was because Hollywood was trying to show the American people that no, we're not. back in the day, it's because Hollywood had a very bad reputation for being sleazy.
Yep.
And they were trying to get away from that, so they were trying to say, look, we have award ceremonies. Look, here we're giving an award to Snow White. Disney, you like that. And it was trying to elevate Hollywood back from its bad reputation. I don't think they...
Now they're actively working in the opposite direction.
Yeah. Well, they don't even... they're in this bubble. They don't know what the rest of the country is like over there.
Well, they never did. They've always been that kind of isolation. But
all right. So I guess
I say we just let these people, throw them in a ring and let them fight it out, like Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg.
I did a double take on this. Maybe Mr. Match, maybe deleted scenes. We'll mention this on his next pre-show. Okay, so here we go.
I've been doing pretty good with the transitions, haven't I?
I've been
thinking this through. Yeah.
Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, absolutely dead serious about fighting in UFC octagon. Dana White says. Twitter's Elon Musk.
Whoever Dana White is, okay.
Dana White?
I have no idea who Dana White is.
Who was the one that turned the letters on Wheel of Fortune? Oh, that's
Vanna White.
Okay,
who was that golden girl? Oh, no, wait, that was Betty White.
Oh, man. Twitter's Elon Musk and Meta's Mark Zuckerberg seem to agree to a fight on social media, but many seem to think it's all fun and games. However, it's totally serious, says one of the biggest names in combat sports. UFC President Dana White told TMZ Sports he spoke to both multi-billionaires Wednesday night and said that both guys are absolutely dead serious about this. We asked why White felt that way. He said that they both said, yeah, we'll do it. They both want to do it. White said Zuckerberg reached out to White first, asking if Musk was serious, so White contacted Musk, who then said he was. If this bout were to happen, White says the amount of money it could raise would be unprecedented. This would be one of the biggest fights ever in the history of the world, bigger than anything that's ever been done. It would break all pay-per-view records. The guys would raise hundreds of millions of dollars for charity. You don't have to be a fighting fan to be interested in this fight. Everybody would want to see it. The biggest fight of all time was Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor. I think it triples that. I think it triples what that did. There's no limit to what that thing can make. Everybody would watch it. Everybody would want to see it. Zuckerberg practices Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah.
While Musk has done martial arts.
Yeah.
BJJ, and was in plenty of fights growing up in South Africa, says White. The potential contest appears to have started when several Twitter users, including Musk, commenting on a report about Meta potentially working on a Twitter-like application that would be a direct competitor to the platform. When a user pointed out that the Meta chief trains in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and warned Musk to be careful, the Twitter owner said that he would be willing to step into a cage with him. I'm up for a cage match if he is, laugh out loud, Musk tweeted. Zuckerberg replied on Instagram saying, send me location. I'm not to UFC's Khabib Nurmagomedov. If I probably butchered that name.
My money would be on Musk. It really would be.
I don't know. Maybe. Zuckerberg does have a youth edge on him, but Musk is not old either, though.
No, he's
both
not.
know martial arts. They're both in shape. It would be interesting.
Well, I think Elon Musk is in a little bit better shape.
Yeah.
And it sounds to me like Mark Zuckerberg just knows one martial art. I think Elon is a little bit more well-rounded. I'll take the well-rounded over the, single martial art, because I've seen how that works in actual fights.
Yeah, I gathered deleted scenes. Do we think this is a good idea?
I don't know. I think it would be great to see, but it's not that big a thing for me to actually care about it. So
there's been an old expression when two men really don't like each other. Sometimes it's best that they fight it out, as long as the rules and they don't do permanent damage to each other. I don't know. The
thing is, this could have real stakes, and I'm not just talking about money and bets and whatnot. Whichever one wins, has those bragging rights, and it's going to directly or indirectly result in how their companies do.
That might be why Mark Zuckerberg wants to do it. To be fair,
or feels like he doesn't have a choice.
Yeah. Oh no, the robots are learning to fight. Skynet is here, people. Yeah, very funny. That's a reference to Mark Zuckerberg.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Anyone thinks the depiction of Mark,
and that would make the South African the John Henry in this story.
I guess so, and it's lame. I don't know if I want to watch this. Yes, I know he's thinking it's going to raise money. I'll read who wins. I know I'm a pain to see this thing.
Yeah, I don't actually need to see it. I just need to know who won.
Do you remember in the old days of wrestling, though, the WWE, back then known as the WWF, it was they did a match which was Donald Trump versus Vince McMahon.
Yes, I do.
I remember that. That was good fun.
Yeah.
And then Vince McMahon, I think the loser gets his head shaved. That was the thing. And McMahon lost, and he got his head shaved live in front of everybody.
Yeah.
And then he comes out on Monday Night Raw the next week, and he's wearing a like a fedora. Like one of the commentators, he looks like Sinatra in that, like they're complimenting him. And then another wrestler runs up behind him and takes the hat off, and he's bald again. He's like, no!
Right.
Oh, I miss the WWE, the Attitude Era of the WWE.
What you're saying is you miss, fun entertainment is what you're really saying.
Yeah, I don't know what wrestling's been like these days. I've not been keeping up.
Yeah.
I heard it's not as outrageous as it was, though. That's what I'd heard.
But, speaking of fun entertainment, we've still got some stuff to look forward to.
Yes.
After this stream, after you go get yourself some refreshment, head on over to Deleted Scenes channel for The Other Side of Midnight. It's a great way to close out your weekend.
And, and check out Deleted Scenes channel. He also updates during the week, so he's always got something going on.
Yep. I'm unaware of anything happening Monday through Wednesday. Again, everybody keep Soundtracks the Birdman in your prayers. He's really struggling. Yeah. And I'm sure he'll be back fine, but it's going to be a while, so let's be patient with him.
Yeah, and, hope everything goes well. You get some good news. Yeah.
Yep. So that, I guess, brings us around to Thursday, Netters Network's Thursday Things, where her special guest will be Fletcher Williams' I Suck at Games channel. That will be 9 Central, 10 Eastern this Thursday.
I wonder what games he sucks at. I should check out his channel.
Well, yeah, go check out his channel, and we will ask him directly about some of his favorite
I've got
games.
a little secret. I kind of suck at games, too.
I know, but you love them, don't you?
Here's what it is. What I love about video games is they let you fail, and they let you keep failing, and you just pick yourself up and play it again, which is sort of what the Super Mario Brothers movie was about. It's about just because you fail, you pick yourself back up, and you get to it again.
Which is why it's so good to be able to just keep respawning or restarting or whatever the case.
Actually, Live, Die, Repeat was about that too, wasn't it?
Kinda, absolutely. Yeah. And learning each time through. Yeah, that's the way to go. But, yeah. So Friday, I think most of you guys already know, although I will not be live on Friday, I will be having a show this Friday. Agent Boomer and I will be pre-recording Last Call this week. We will be talking about the summer of '82. Mostly about movies, but I'm sure we will touch on, other cultural touchstones. Just think of it as a good, big good old days, specifying a season in the year 82.
It will be a fun watch. It'll be similar to what we did last week to Summer of '89, but we'll have even more to talk about because that was the summer that changed movies.
Yep, absolutely. And again, even though Netter and I will not be there, please tune into Big Al Presents on Saturday, where his special guest will be Wolf 10 Media. They will be watching the movie Cloverfield from 2008. That's 9 Central, 10 Eastern.
Oh, Deleted Scenes will also be joining.
Oh, Deleted Scenes too. Sorry about that.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's for Big Al. This is the start of Kaiju July.
I like that.
Yeah, right. Which of course brings us around to next Sunday. I don't think that Deleted Scenes has told us what the topic will be next week, but his episode 20 of Unscripted will be at 7 Central, 8 Eastern on Sunday, July 2nd, which will be a lead-in to Geeky Geezers, which I won't be at.
Yes,
but,
so we'll do something on the channel. It may
but
not be.
Hopefully, Aged Boomer will be able to manage without me one week.
I'll figure it out. We'll have another guest on, I think. But I'll find
Good.
All right.
But that's the week in review, and that's all I've got, my friend.
All right. You take care, everyone in the chat.
Yep.
Have a good weekend, and enjoy the something. Well, enjoy not the movies out right now. But
look forward to the next Tom Cruise film. How's that?
Actually, from what I heard, Extraction 2, people are liking that, so you can watch that.
Okay, there you go. All right.
All right, catch you all later. Bye-bye.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Oh, I should have been highlighting all these links. There you go. Good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.